Tonight, we take a look at some of the challenges many formerly incarcerated men and women face as they re-enter society. The coronavirus pandemic has upended the lives of all Americans, but it has been especially hard on individuals known as returning citizens. William Brangham tells the story of one man in Washington, D.C., who's trying to beat the odds. It's the first in a series of reports this week called Searching for Justice.
After 23 years behind bars, this was the moment when Michael Plummer became a free man.
It was a great feeling. I got released on February 10th of this year. It's like stepping into a different world. Even though you live in the world, you stepping into a different world.
Plummer is now 40. He was locked up in 1997 for a murder he committed when he was 16. Growing up in a violent neighborhood in Washington, D.C., Plummer says his story was sadly pretty common.
A lot of my friends and family members was killed. And then those who did went to jail, they did 10 years, they did 15, 20, and some of us still serving life sentences. So, my mother, she fell victim to, using drugs and so forth. My dad, he went to prison for a long time. I moved around from family members to family members. Sometimes I was homeless or we would live in like shelters and stuff like that. So when I started getting a little older, like 6th, 7th grade, and that's when I had my first brush with the law, and that's when I got into the streets. And initially it's for like, okay, I need shoes, I need food, but then you actually do become a product of your environment though.
Plummer recently took me back to his old D.C. neighborhood, just a mile from the U.S. Capitol, and now transformed by gentrification.
Further down the street down here, this is where, I operated. We sold cocaine or weed or whatever it is we had.
As a kid, he joined a small neighborhood gang known as a crew, and it became like family. And one night, when his crew clashed with a different one, Plummer shot and killed another teenager.
And I wish like a million times I could have went back and thought about it and had a better outcome than what came about.
2 years later, when Plummer turned 18, he received a 30-year-to-life sentence for that shooting.
At the whole time I'm just thinking, is this gonna be my life? I definitely made a bad decision in what I did.
During more than 20 years in prison, Plummer says he slowly began to turn his life around. He got his GED, he did job training programs, earned a college diploma, and he converted to Islam.
I grew up in prison, and growing up in prison...
Do you think of it that way? Do you think of that you actually did grow up in prison?
Sure. Some people grow up in orphanages. Some people grow up in society. I actually was raised in prison. I spent my time wisely in there, despite me being in that predicament.
Plummer also says he wanted to prove to his daughter, Mayana, who was born when he was just 15, that he had changed as a man.
The things that I did while I was in the street, I reflected upon that, and in retrospect, it was hideous. It hurt my heart, and I wanted to show my daughter that just because a person has traveled down a path or made a mistake, that this mistake won't label them forever, and that you can change. There is room for redemption, and so no wrong can be corrected, and I wanted to correct that.
Plummer was eventually released thanks to a Washington, D.C. law allowing judges to free certain longtime prisoners whose crimes were committed when they were juveniles. More than 50 men have now been released since 2018.
We already did that.
However, his new freedom brought new challenges. The pandemic hit just weeks after his release, and all the places that could help him get back to some semblance of normal life were closed.
You gotta get a birth certificate, you gotta get a social security card. So I was gone for 23 years and both parents passed away. So these documents was lost, and so I had to go and get them again.
He had no credit history, no credit cards, never applied for a loan of any kind.
That's the first thing they ask for, your credit. How long you been employed. So these things are nightmares for me when I wanna go and purchase a vehicle or try to get an apartment. It's horrifying, when they want to check your credit score and so forth, and not knowing this coming out is a disadvantage. What's up, bro?
Plummer did find housing with his brother, and with the help of his lawyer, he was able to reestablish his identification.
So to own these documents myself, a driver's license, to get a social security card, to get a bank account, I was overjoyed. You know, I was integrating myself in society slowly but surely, and I felt like a citizen again.
Michael Plummer is in some ways a best-case scenario. When he was locked up, he took advantage of the programs that prison offered, but not all prisons offer those programs. When he got out, he had family to help him find a house. But formerly incarcerated individuals are 10 times more likely to be homeless and 5 times more likely to be unemployed. And if you don't have a job or you don't have a house, it's very hard to lead a normal life. It's partly why so many, more than 4 in 10, cycle back to a life of crime.
I've been here where you've been at, right? And I'm a returning citizen.
But now Plummer is trying to change that for the next generation.
I don't want y'all to have to do 23 years in prison or life in prison. This can stop right here, right now.
He got a full-time job at a nonprofit that works with young people in custody within DC's Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services.
Then to come out here and actually be dealing with juveniles.
Norman Brown is the program manager who pushed for Plummer to get this job.
When people come before us to be interviewed for these type of roles, my heart is into believing and knowing that people can outgrow certain behaviors. And we're willing to give you a chance just like someone gave me one.
Brown spent 24 years in prison himself for selling crack cocaine. He says people like Plummer, who they call credible messengers, have a legitimacy with young people because of their own backgrounds.
He panned out to be exactly what we needed to add to our initiative.
On many days, Plummer is back inside the city's juvenile detention facilities.
You got to make the judgment that's right, even if your peers dislike it. I'm going to do what's right.
He offers advice. He shoots hoops.
Allahu Akbar.
Sometimes he even leads prayers for those interested.
When I was young, you know, went down the path I went down.
But he's also here to share his own story. When you're meeting a young person for the first time who might be facing a very long time behind bars, what's that conversation like initially? How do you approach somebody?
You know, you tell them what you've been through. And a lot of times when I tell a youth I did 23 years in prison, they can't believe it. And so then I ask them, how old do you think I am? And so when I tell them that I went in when I was 17 and I didn't come out until I was 40, their eyes get big because now they're starting to click that this can maybe be them.
Officials asked us not to use these young people's names or to discuss their crimes, but they did allow us to talk with them about why they trust someone like Michael Plummer.
We don't have a lot of people like Mr. Plummer coming around you and giving you the tools that you need.
He actually come from where we come from, been through, know what's going on, stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, somebody who don't know what you got going ahead of you, they might not know exactly what to tell you and what advice that you really need.
Like right now, finding a job.
Plummer also meets with formerly incarcerated adults, like Isaac Carey. The 24-year-old was released from prison late last year, but has struggled to find steady work.
Selling drugs to going to getting a real job, you know, the money is different, you know. So that's like a hard transition. So, you know, Michael helped me, he sent me job applications and stuff like that. He even helped me towards documents and stuff, helping me get my ID.
Now, 9 months after his release, Plummer says he's rebuilding a relationship with his daughter. And he recently got married to a woman he's known since he was a teenager.
Upon me coming home, we got back in contact with each other, asked y'all for a date again. And from there, we wind up, you know, she wind up putting a chain on my leg and locking me down. And so, we got married and, we newlyweds right now and we just enjoying each other.
He's leading a life Plummer says he never could have imagined 23 years ago. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm William Brangham in Washington, D.C.